Well, to be in this environment, it is an amazing place with all those round shapes which represents the feminine. And on top of it, we have the Black Madonna in the church here, which is also representing the feminine. Talking about the man dealing with the blackness of the feminine, we have a hard time. We guys don't have any idea how to deal and why it is created in this way it is. In that sense, we can say the feminine is the shadow of the masculine. If we guys would appreciate that, if we would understand that contrast, that opposition we have with the women around, that would make life for a man so much easier than it regularly does. Let me give you an example of talking about opposition. Let's say I suggest to buy a red car. She will say, no, a red car. Or if I decide I would love to have a dog, she would say, oh, I love to have a cat. And that is so a different nature we have between the man and the women. So it is my gift really to have this interview done on Montserrat Mountain close to Barcelona, where this energy is so fully represented by talking about male energy, masculinity on the feminine mountain. I cannot think of a more complete situation to be in the feminine here, talking about the masculine.
So you were talking about the difference between masculine and feminine, and that we are in this continuous opposition. So when we talk about building any kind of relationships, so how we can deal with this opposition?
Well, that is one of the major things I'm teaching, to create the understanding. We will never fully have agreement, both of us, because her nature is so different than the masculine nature. But if I understand, then I can deal with it. I say, well, okay, I understand why she takes decisions like this, why she promotes a different opinion than I have. We men have this ideal kind of energy. We want big things to be in our lives. She will ground you right away. So that is so different of nature between the man and the woman. Having the understanding and accepting it, that is one of the most important things we can do as a man.
So, but I find that there is always a lot of men, they say that it is impossible to understand the woman. So how we can find an understanding if we cannot understand her decisions?
I like that question. Well, if we men stay in our logic and we want to see, let's say, the logical steps in how someone is thinking, that is the way I analyze my own thinking, then we'll never come to a solution between her and him. But if he has the quality to step into his feminine, then he will understand more of why she decides things she does, or why she thinks in a different way than I'm using to do.
So what can we do? So what does it mean for the man to step into his feminine?
Well, it is getting out of the the straightforward way of acting, straightforward way of thinking, the feminine side of us is more creative, is more intuitive. So, I mean, if you look to the geometry, the feminine line is curved and the masculine line is straight. But we both have the same qualities, the man and the woman. But I need to understand as a man that I have those feminine qualities. There's a little example, what I just noticed in this pine tree, which has this very straight form. The seeds of it, they are round. So the feminine, no, the masculine represents the feminine, the reproductive qualities in the round shape. So if we look to nature, that it has both qualities, the masculine and the feminine. Why would we as man or as woman be different than nature is? But over the years we lost that quality of seeing both. We became very mental, we became very masculine. And look at the world where we live in. It is an absolute disaster, to my opinion, because everything is falling apart. Why? Because it's creating through the left side of our brain, our logic, our masculine.
What can we do to get ourselves out of our logic and to open our creativity and more our feminine side? So what you can recommend?
Well, that brings me back to the memory when I start teaching myself my feminine components. This was in tantric training, where I needed to dress like a woman. And I was very scared. I still remember that moment that we were tapping in with my feminine. I thought that I would lose all my strength, my power. But by being in this feminine quality within myself, even dressed as a woman, that made me feeling that quality, how strong feminine is inside us. It made me so much stronger than I ever could imagine. So in other words, we need to act like a woman. We need to understand logic, that we have this feminine quality inside us. And we need to just play the game. We need to take the women as the example. We men don't dare to do that because we think we give in the masculine power. But I know it is the opposite. I understand fully how strong women are, how creative they are, because I use that quality inside myself too.
And according to the masculine qualities, so we also see that we have more and more, so to say, masculine women. So how we can express our basic masculine qualities dealing with such a masculine women who want to be independent, self-sufficient, and so on.
You know, when I ask women, mostly women who are in business, why do you act as a man? What they tell me is we need to catch up with the masculine world. But it's absolutely nonsense. We know now how the world is falling apart. So please, women, stay in your feminine quality and give us the examples. Don't pretend to be a man, because you create more of what we have been creating through the logic. So that is not solution. We need to be the creative and intuitive beings in this world.
And what you can recommend to the man, how they can work on their not also feminine but also masculine qualities
I
to
knew
be
you were going to ask this question.
accepted by the world as a real man.
Well, we have a huge problem there, man to man. That is the greatest fear I come across in my workshops, that men are not dealing with men in order to be judged to be gay, that is their greatest fear. And then I tell to the man, you are so clear in your mind. You know all what you want. You know if you have the desire to be close to a man or even to have sexual encounters with a man. You all know that. The majority of you don't. So what is the fear? It is just the fear of society, that society starts judging you. And if I hear in judgment, I know I'm dealing with a weak person. So why should I deal with the fears around me? I don't want to deal with the weaknesses of this world. I like to be in the strength and the power, which is feminine, by the way.
When I've been on the last workshop that we had, I discovered myself a fear of living my masculinity, about living my aggressor, because the fear is that I will destroy my life, because it brings me to some unusual decisions, so to say, that are maybe not always accepted by the society or by other people as being rational and logical. So it makes me more impulsive. And this is the great fear that I faced with. So what can you say about that and how we can deal with our, so to say, masculine and animalistic part?
Well, we all know that animals are very strong. You know, if you look to the masculine wolf, he creates the area to live in. Clear, these are his boundaries. And don't dare to come close to those boundaries, because he will fight himself to death, even to protect the country, the space he lives in. So he is using his aggressor to create the safety for the female living with him and the children. So, in other words, if we leave the aggressor hidden or asleep or dormant within the masculine body, women get utterly confused because they miss that masculine quality. They don't feel safe, they don't feel protected anymore. So in other words, we guys need to know how powerful this aggressor is. And we can even live it, but through the heart. Only through the heart aggressor can be activated. The aggressor on its own is very dangerous, is very animalistic. And we see, unfortunately, a lot of examples in this world where the aggressor is just acting without the heart. They start killing, they start raping, they start murdering everyone around, which is so absolutely undesired to have this. But we men need to see that quality within us. We need to feel it, and we need to have the courage to live it, because it's the biology of the man. So it needs to come forward. We need to train ourselves to go along this very basic power we have.
When I meet men, I found themselves been split. So, other words, they, on the level of their understanding, they want one things, on the level of their feelings, they want the different things, and finally they're unhappy because they don't know which way to go. So how can we stay complete, so to say, and not being split to different sides when, you know, it's like a devil on the one shoulder and the angel on the different one?
One of the major causes for divorce is women don't feel the man. When a man lives in his head, in his brain, she is very unhappy with this kind of personality around her. This kind of man will never survive in his marriage. So he needs to understand or needs to know how to connect his sexuality with his heart. Through the sexuality, we can live the aggressor. Without this connection, the women will never be happy. They will never feel supported by their man. And above all, me being the man, if I don't have that inner connection with myself, I will be searching for the rest of my life. I might hop from one woman to the other. I might want a first million of euro, and when I have the first million, I want a second, and I want a third. It is just a compensation of this hole which I feel inside myself. If I feel the wholeness within myself, so in other words, all the qualities I have, which is my sexuality, which is my aggressor, which is my level of respect through the heart, if I know how to breathe it to make one within myself, I become this happy man. I can live my wholeness. My partner will be very happy with me. To live through wholeness is the key to be father of the family. Then we create a harmonious family. Without that, we will never have the harmony.
A lot of the teachings that are teaching us about the harmony
Yeah.
and being complete, they are based on the thing that we are stop desiring something from our life. And very often it leads to the fact that people are stopping in their development because they just don't want anything. And they don't look like being more alive. They look like as being, saint people, but completely not alive.
Absolutely.
So, how we can keep this stream of life in ourselves? And how is it connected with our wholeness that we have inside?
When you have the wholeness within yourself, then things appear into your daily life. So in other words, you need to take the world around you as your mirror. If you see that your feelings are making a reality in the world around you. So let me give you a small example. If I really desire from my heart someone who is understanding me, someone who is be able to live with me, that means I need that quality within myself first. Otherwise, I will never find this person to be with. And I have seen many examples in my life. Whatever my heart desired is, is created, it comes into my life. And it is the ultimate happiness. It is not only um, creating the material world for myself, but also the world of being respected, the world of having the wholeness around me, because the wholeness is inside me. And that is what Buddha said. Buddha is one of the most um, whole people I ever heard of. So inside, so outside. So whatever is inside me is being created in my world around me.
I wanted to ask one more question because you are saying about living from your heart and being connected to your heart. And what I often meet that people are afraid of that so much. And because living your heart is connected with something on being weak, and mostly it's connected with the pain.
Yeah, it still is the mind which is working there. The heart knows how strong and powerful it is. If you really love someone, you're ready to jump out of the window to see that person. That is the strength of the heart. When you have a relationship based on the heart, that relationship will stay, will never be being lost. If the relationship is based on something different, then it will break. Sooner or later it will end. But if it is based on the quality of the heart, the power of the heart, it stays alive. No matter where you need to work through together, it will stay. And that proves to me that the heart is very, very, very powerful. And even in the science world, when you measure the vibration from the brain and the, the frequency coming from the heart frequencies are so much higher than the brain frequencies. So there's no reason to stay in your brain because of you think you are powerful, but the heart is going to win it all the time.
So, other words, the fear which lives in our brain stops us of being opening and living our heart.
The heart has no fear.
So, what we can do, how we can, so to say, not be so much influenced by our brain and to have our heart more open? Is there something simple we can do?
The key is being authentic. Whatever you feel inside is your truth. If I allow myself to be influenced by the world around me, that makes me a polarized person. Oh, that person tells me this, or this person tells me that. That brings me far away of who I really am. I am the person living my wholeness, and the wholeness is all I can offer the world around me. And fear still is energy. We decide how we use the energy of the fear. We hear the word authenticity very, very many times. I learned when I did the brain training, that means enhancement of the alpha waves in the brain. I experienced something miraculous. The first 3 days of the 7-day training, nothing, nothing happens in the sense of rising the alpha in the brain. And the fourth day, I realized that I was doing in the first 3 days. So in other words, the brain was not enhancing the alpha. And that is why I came to this training. Then I understand that when I am just being myself, just breathing with myself, it creates this alpha brainwave patterns, which makes me so happy, which makes me so quiet inside of myself. And this allows me to see a world around me which is um, not only seen by the eyes, you just know. You just know things. So there's no game I need to play. I can just be myself, no matter what kind of experience I have, no matter what kind of knowledge I have. I am who I am, and it makes me tremendously happy and comfortable to be in this life. And I wish you the very same. Thank you so much for your attention.